You know, I gave you the Buffalo Bills as a free pick yesterday, and even when I was giving you the Bills, I pointed out all their warts. I told you that some would think that they're possibly frauds, and they certainly proved to be last night because they simply can't get the job done offensively. And yesterday, I noted that they were 1-2 on the road. That stinker, that 9-3 loss in week number 2 at Carolina. That game that they won at Atlanta. Was it because they played that well, or the Falcons have not played well all season long? And they proved last night again, their biggest problem, even though they went out and got Kelvin Benjamin, who didn't play last night, is that they can't move the ball through the air. And as I noted in yesterday's video, you know, they are going to have to eventually, when they get their receiver core healthy, they've got to show with Tyrod Taylor that they can stretch the field horizontally. They've got to attack opposing secondaries. And they had a prime secondary last night that was there to be challenged. A suspect secondary that was decimated by injuries, poor coverage all season long, and yet they could not move the ball and move the chains through the air. They couldn't do it last night. So, you know, the Jets, there you go. A team that had lost 3 straight games, but had been competitive in all of them, should have been in the Patriots in one of them. 2 of those games, they carried 14-point leads in the fourth quarter. The other one, they carried a lead into the fourth quarter. Clearly have not quit on Todd Bowles, and they got the win last night. So I've got 2 more complimentary plays for you for tonight's card. And I'll get to them in college football in just a moment. My best bet happens to be in the NBA. Last night it was the NBA as well. There were only 2 NBA games last night. So when I was handicapping the card, I looked at the one game and it was just screaming, bet me, bet me, bet me. And I was all over Golden State last night at San Antonio. Now, the game didn't exactly play out the way that I thought it would. You don't necessarily want to see an 8.5-point road favorite fall down by 17 points in the first quarter and then win by 20. That's not generally how you see games play out, or you don't picture those road chalks winning in your mind. But I won, again, another 15-dime best bet. That's 3 in a row this week. But I was also curious. I didn't want to see who Chris Jordan had last night because it was just the 8th ever triple your wager 3,000 star release of his 35-year career. He was on the same game last night. I wanted to handicap the game. I put out my play. I did the video report. I told you it was going to be the half price play of the day. I sent the video out to you all, and then I went and I saw who he had. And he had Golden State as well. So needless to say, I had a vested rooting interest because people always say, well, you know, they'll ask me sometimes, well, who's your favorite play? And I'll tell them, well, there's 2 ways I can answer that. It's my favorite play that I have money on, and it's also the play that I know more people at the site, more you out there, customers, will have a rooting interest and money on as well. And believe me, that play last night wasn't the football game. It was that play with Chris Jordan because it was such a rare release. So, thank goodness the Warriors came back and won it. And what a role he is on. And guys, as I said in yesterday's video, he is just like me. He likes the pressy action when he's on a roll, and he's doing it again. Tonight, 9th ever triple your wager 3,000 star NBA release in 35 years. The Raptors and the Jazz. I have absolutely no inclination to tell you who I think will win in that game because I have no clue about those 2 teams here in the opening weeks of the season. But he loves the game, and God bless him. And once again, it's available for half price, just like last night's play. And your coupon code is TRIPLE. And let me just remind you, he is now 23-8-1 with triple your wager, 3,000 star plays in all sports over the past 35 years. Hit number 8 last night in the NBA with Golden State. Hit 1 in the playoffs with the Cavaliers over Toronto back on May 3rd. You got it for half price. This play is just as strong as Clemson over Alabama for the championship in college football back in January. Just as strong as North Carolina over Gonzaga in the Final Four championship game back in April. And he's had a hell of a week. This play is bigger than the first ever 2,500 star NBA release of his career that you got on the Celtics hammering Sacramento on Wednesday. Bigger than his 2,000 star double your wager winner number 25 out of 33 on Indiana over Sacramento on Tuesday. And this NBA run started last week with 4 straight 1,000 star winners. And keep in mind, if you go back to late last November $1 bettors have won over $58,000 during this 11-month run. That's when he started this run, and he's doing it again this same November, pushing the action, and it's the half price play of the day. This also being Friday, keep in mind, you can save $50 off the purchase price of any 7-day Handicappers package by using coupon code SAVE50. You can save $125 off any Handicappers 30-day package by using coupon code SAVE125. And by the way, the Handicappers packages, they're the same price today as they were yesterday. It's not like I raised the prices or anything. And if you happen to be involved in a long-term package with a handicapper and you want to extend it outward, and if you have any instant rebates that are applicable, you can use these coupons as well. And if you have any questions, you can always contact customer service. That's what they are there for. Let me talk about a couple of these college football games here tonight. I'm going to talk about the Memphis-Tulsa game first. Tulsa cost me money last week because I had a big play on SMU at home against the Golden Hurricane. And boy, did I lose that game. Tulsa should have won the damn game outright as the road dog. They didn't. SMU came back to win it. Big deal. They cost me money. But I look at this Tulsa team, and they have so many defensive deficiencies, and I dare you to say that 3 times quickly. They are just a horrible team defensively, and I think Memphis, a team that has a bye week coming up, and then a big game the following week against SMU at home with probably first place in the AAC at stake in its second to last game of the season. I don't think Memphis has any reason to look past Tulsa here tonight. Plus, it's a revenge game because Memphis last year, worst game of the season at home, Golden Hurricane kicked their asses at the Liberty Bowl. So, I think that this is a great spot to take Memphis in this spot here tonight. So again, Tulsa's coming off a 38-34 loss after losing its previous game 20-14 at UConn. Now, they did win their last home game 45-17 versus Houston, a Houston team that Memphis really struggled to beat on the road. That was the game they were down 17-0 and then had to rally from a 17-point second-half deficit to win that game. But listen, I just think that the metrics are there for Memphis to put plenty of points on the board. They're only a 14.5-point favorite. I was kind of surprised they weren't laying 18, 19, 20 points in this game. You got a Tulsa team that's second to last in the nation in terms of total defense, giving up 550 yards a game. You've got a Tulsa team that it has the second worst run defense in all of college football, giving up 279.7 yards a game. That translates to 5.89 yards a carry. And you don't think of Memphis with Riley Ferguson as a team that can run the ball, but Darrell Henderson, their top running back, is averaging 8.1 yards per carry. And I mentioned this fact when I used them as a pick against Tulane a couple of weeks ago, and he had a big game. They can run the ball. You've got Riley Ferguson, again, having a great year at quarterback, 23 touchdowns, 7 interceptions. He's completing like 60% of his passes, 323 yards a game. He has only been sacked 10 times, and he's dropped back. Well, I don't know how many times he's dropped back because that's a different stat. I do know that he's thrown 320 passes. He's only been sacked 10 times. You've got a Tulsa team that only has like, I wrote down the stat here. Let me just look this up for you. They have 11 sacks in 9 games. 11 sacks in 9 games. They have one of the worst pass defenses in all of the country. They give up 270 passing yards a game. They give up the most pass yards per completion in the entire realm of Division I football. 129 teams. Nobody gives up more yards per pass completion at 15.91 yards than Tulsa does. So I think Memphis is going to be able to move the ball at will here tonight, and that's why I think it's a 2-touchdown favorite plus a hook. That's why you got to ride Memphis in this contest. So I like Memphis a lot in this game as a road chalk. Now, your other game is Florida Atlantic at home. It's an early kickoff at 6 o'clock Eastern time against Marshall. And Florida Atlantic right now is like the flavor of the month because this is a team that after a 1-3 start in non-conference play, everybody is drinking the Kool-Aid involving Lane Kiffin. The Kiffin train, the Lane train is running big time. They're 4-0 start in Conference USA action. Last 4 games, they have scored 207 points. They've accumulated 2,254 yards in total offense. Devin Singletary, 694 yards of those 2,254 have come on the ground. But here's the thing. All 4 of those wins, they either had to rally in the second half or in the third quarter, they had to extend the margin to finally put away their opponent. Last week was a prime example. They were trailing Western Kentucky 28-20. They scored the final 22 points. So, you look at it and you see an impressive blowout win, but it really wasn't for most of 3 quarters. They have a defense that's been very opportunistic. They forced 20 turnovers. That's led to 73 points. You have a Marshall team that's coming off a 41-30 loss to Florida International, another team that's had a rejuvenation with another big-time name in Division I football, Butch Davis. And that was a home loss as well, but that was a loss that was keyed by turnovers, 3 of them by their quarterback, Chase Liddon. Listen, that's an anomaly. Marshall had 0 turnovers in its previous 5 games, all of them wins. This is a Marshall team that gave North Carolina State all it could handle on the road this season. This is actually a Marshall team that has played better on the road than it's played against Florida, than played at home. And Chase Liddon, he's thrown for over 1,900 yards, 16 touchdowns, 5 interceptions, 363 yards in the losing effort against FIU last season. Marshall's defense, they only allow 17.6 points a game. That's second best in Conference USA. You've got a Florida Atlantic team that can definitely run the ball, okay? You've got a Florida Atlantic quarterback in Jason Driscoll, who you never know what you get week in, week out. And here, I just want to give you the stats, what he's done during this 4-game winning streak. Last week against Western Kentucky, miserable. 10 for 24, 93 yards. The week before, in a home win against North Texas, magnificent. 24 for 35, 357 yards, right? The week before, when they beat Old Dominion, 13 for 22, 97 yards. The week before, when they smacked around Middle Tennessee State, 22 for 29, 187 yards. You get my drift? I think that this game could go either way tonight. I think 6.5 is too big of a margin. I would buy up to 7. I would wait till we get closer to game time, because I think this is a game that the public sees Florida Atlantic. They go, oh, Lane Kiffin. They see all the points that Florida Atlantic is scoring. I think the public money moves this game to 7. So I think you get that half point anyway, and then I would buy up to 7.5. And I would jump on Marshall, because I think this is a 3 or 4 point game. And that's the way I would go. I think Marshall's the play. So Memphis and Marshall, the M&Ms. Those are your 2 complimentary plays for tonight. And we'll do this again, guys, tomorrow when we have a few college football games on the card. Good luck, everybody.